Hello and welcome to Pimp My Gun. It was long time no Pimp My Gun, so today I'm gonna show you another trick, and this is an upgrade for the SR25 type guns from VFC, of course GBBRs. And it's also applicable to HK417s from VFC, but I will show it on the example of this particular one. The topic will be how to increase the range, because maybe you noticed that the hop-up range on these guns and the HK417s is pretty small. So when you try to dial in more hop, the gun stops to spin the BB, and it's not possible to achieve a good range, especially on some heavier BBs. The gun is like 60-70 meters, that's what it can reach, and after the upgrade and an upgrade to a stable pressure source like the HPA, then you can reach over 100 meters easily on some heavyweight BBs. But as I explained, there is not enough hop to set in the gun, so I will show you how to do it. This is actually another M110 that reached my hands, which I converted to HPA already, so obviously frog engineering conversion, you know the stuff. But this thing I'm gonna show you, you can actually do it in any GBBR, M110, SR25 and all the variants of it, as well as I already said the HK417s, the second generation. In the old HK417 the hop-up is different and this does not apply. There's one more thing I need to do with the gun after converting it and doing some mods that I already published and you know them. I will be replacing the barrel, and for this reason also I'll be working on the hop-up chamber, so I will improve the range. And what we need for this, we need a wrench. This is a Torx 25 size for these screws, or you could use a regular hex key 4mm size. And you will also need a knife, file, flat file, a piece of plastic card, the tool for URX rail removal. It can be any. I have VFC one and I taped it so that I don't scratch the barrel when I use it, and this Loctite or super glue type adhesive. You will also need some hex keys for the insides of the gun and a small flat screwdriver, but you will see when I open the gun what exactly is needed. It will be easier to show. Lately VFC uses a crazy amount of some Loctite for the threads, so if you have trouble unscrewing some screws, don't force it, because you might strip the head of the screw and you will be left with an issue. Just heat it up with a heat gun or regular hair dryer, and if you heat it up, then the screw will be easy to remove because the adhesive will become very soft. Okay, so to the point. What we will be working on is only the upper, so we can remove the lower completely. I believe you know how to do it. So there is a pin on the rear, a pin on the front, and this goes away. And also helpful will be if we just remove the bolt carrier, and we can remove the charging handle as it will be falling out. When we have this prepared, what we will do, basically we need to extract the chamber out of the gun. For this reason we need to open this rail, so we undo these screws, 3 on this side and 3 on this side. Okay, so this is done. It went pretty easily. Right now we slide the rail forward so that these cutouts here match, and we can remove it. So here we are. There is a crown nut inside here, it's black, and we will remove it with this wrench, inserting it and rotating it like undoing some screw. And again, it can be glued with Loctite, so if you cannot remove it, then just heat it up and it will be much easier. I'm gonna do it off screen as I have no way how to use force in this setup. So you can see that the nut came out. I was just rotating like this with the wrench. I can remove it and I can pull out the whole barrel assembly, and I don't need the upper receiver with the rail for the moment, so I will put it aside. The nut stays here, and then we can pull out the chamber with the barrel, which I will replace actually in a moment. And here is the hop-up system. So you see that there is this long rod, which is the gas pipe, and it goes all the way to this trolley, let's call it. We need to unscrew the screws here on the sides, and in HK417 actually there would be a black seal here in this groove, but in M110 they don't use it anymore. Maybe it's not really helping with anything. So a few rotations. You don't need to take it out completely. A few rotations and you can take off the barrel extension, and you are left with the chamber. So where is the issue? You can see here on top there is this black part. I will show it in a bigger zoom in a moment. So basically it presses on the knob here on the front, and I actually have a video also about the collision with this part by the bolt carrier that could happen when you shoot, so be sure to watch that one to improve your gun's performance. But anyway, okay, so you can see here that we have the cam which I mentioned that sets up the hop, and we have this arm. So the cam goes underneath from this side, rotates it pushes on the hop-up backing, and that's how it works. And basically there is not enough range on this part, or not enough length of this part to push on this hard. We will do two things. We will apply some plastic card onto this cam here so that it pushes more even if it's not screwed that far. This will increase the range of the setting. And the second thing, we will need to file a bit of this part off because there is no space in the chamber for a big movement of this part. And I said that in old HK417s this mod is not applicable because one thing, you don't have this kind of hop-up setup with a long rod coming from the front, yeah, and also this arm is completely different. So I actually have one here, and this arm is bended from a piece of metal. So if you want to increase the range, basically you can bend it more, deform it, and you will get more range. But this is very unstable. In the new guns you get this black part. You will see in a moment how it looks like, but it's a solid piece of metal. It does not bend. It's much more stable. You can see that this chamber actually is also not the same as in the very first generation of HK417s. This one came with G28. G28s also had this old type of the hop-up knob, and only in the new ones you have it. But if you happen to have this new chamber and you have the old arm, you can buy a new knob and it will fit, no issue. And also, if you have the old chamber, I unfortunately don't have an example to show you, but this is the one with a ring sliding forwards, no plastic part here on the rear, and it's set up from the rear. Extremely bad design. So you can also replace it with this one. The only issue is that you will have to modify the barrel to have an arm that pushes it from the front. But generally what I'm trying to say is that these parts are fully compatible with all the versions, so you can always upgrade to a newer one. Okay, so first let's do cam here, and basically what we will do is very simple. We will just glue here a layer of plastic on top and make sure that it sticks properly. And how much we need to glue, it's a question basically to you, because it will depend on the energy that you want to set on your gun and also the weight of the BBs that you will use. The more power or the heavier BBs you have, the more hop you need, but generally at least one layer would be useful. And this plastic card can be, you know, like a modeling plastic card, or you can just cut it out of some old credit card that you don't use anymore. So we need to make some scratches on this surface of the cam because it's too smooth and the glue will not catch. So I will use the file, and you can see maybe I already made some lines back and forth, and it's not smooth anymore, so the glue has a good base to attach to. And because this gun will be on high power 2.6 joules with 0.48 gram BBs, I will put 2 layers of plastic on top. So I basically will glue some thin layers. So I apply a dot of glue obviously, and I stick first layer on top. I will wait a moment until it sets, and when it sets I will take the knife and using the edges of the metal I will just cut off the excess of the plastic. So I have my first layer, and you see how it increases basically how much the cam will push on the arm on this side. And one more thing I did not say, actually it's covered with some lube, so obviously make sure that you clean it up because the glue will not stick to the lube. And then I apply some more glue and I apply second layer of plastic on top. And again I will wait until it sets, and when it sets I will cut off the excess with the knife. So I now have my two layers, and you can see here in this area the bottom one is visible because here you want to keep the same height as this black part on the front. So I basically filed it a bit like this so that the height is even and it will not catch on anything in the chamber or in the barrel. Yeah, so this is what you want to achieve. And also remember that the cam has to go under the arm in the chamber. Yeah, so the arm has to slide over, and if it will be too flat on the front then the arm can jam and you are maybe not able to set up the hop-up. So always make sure that this is at an angle like this, that the arm can actually slide over. So this modification is good enough. And now the other one. So let's open the chamber. We have two screws here. When these two screws are removed I can pull off the black part, then chamber opens. Here we have the hop-up. You can replace it with the barrel, although I like these violet backings from VFC. I will put this aside, and that's our arm. And what's the issue with the arms? If you want to have more range, this arm has to go up, yeah? And when it goes up, the tip of the arm goes too high over the roof of the chamber, let's say. Because obviously the chamber sits in the barrel extension, so this cylindrical hole in the barrel extension is the limitation for the arm to move up. So even if we add this plastic like we did on the cam, it might not be able to push the arm too much because it's limited by this cylindrical hole inside of the barrel extension. So basically what we need to do is we need to change this rectangular shape here on top to be a round shape and make it fitting to this outline of the chamber when it's inside the barrel extension. So it's very simple, I will show you what I mean. So I take the arm and it has, this is let's say view from the top, and we have this flat side which pushes on the backing, and we have this bended side. So we are interested in the bended one, and we have these sharp corners. We need to take the file and make it round this way. So I will modify it again off screen. I will show you the result. You will for sure understand what I mean. So if you see now, this part is silver, yeah, because I filed it, yeah. And if I look from the front, you can maybe notice that it's basically curved. It's not flat anymore. This is exactly what I need. So I will put the gun back now and I will show you how this increased hop-up range works. I'm using this new barrel. Everything goes back in place like it was previously. The screw goes here. For these screws you might use some weak Loctite, but honestly I don't do it. I never had an issue with it. Then I slide the plastic part and I use the second screw. And it's done, and you can see right now if I push here on the arm, then this curved, polished or like filed surface that you can see here fits with this curvature on the lugs that will be in the cylinder of the barrel extension. And looking on the barrel extension, maybe one more thing, you can notice that this top lug is smaller than the others, and this is what you need in order to be able to assemble this black type of hop-up knob. If you have this sheet metal type, it slides under the complete knob, and this one does not. So if you want to mount this to an older gun to replace the sheet metal part, then you need to file off the knob to allow it to slide through. So I slide it over and I need to tighten it here and on the other side. Again, you might want to use some Loctite, but for me this is not mandatory here. So above the arm there is a gap, and you can see when you lift the arm with a screwdriver like the cam would that it goes up, and there is a lot of the backing going down. Now we need to put things back together, and here a good thing could be to just take a hex key, use it to move back completely this this trolley that the cam rides on, and when it's set to the minimum it will have a hard stop. And now you can take your barrel with the chamber, slide it over, close it, and basically by looking inside you can see how much hop you have. In my case I increased the hop a lot, so even in this minimum setting I will probably have more than 0 hop, but 0 hop is useless, right? So I increased the hop that on the minimum setting it's already, let's say, 20% or whatever, and this way I can go to maybe 200% of the original setting that I had before the modification, because right now the cam will push much more on the arm in the final position. So again, I'm not really able to record it, but if you look inside when it's assembled and make sure that here the barrel extension is on touch with the barrel, you can look and see if in minimum setting you have not too much hop. So probably you have some now and it's not 0, but it's still not enough for good shooting performance. And one more thing I did not mention is that this black part, the knob, it's press fitted into the chamber. So if you move it once, it will stay in this position unless you push it with BBs back or you push it manually in here back. So if you are moving this with screwdriver, make sure to first push it down, and when it's in minimal position then you can assemble it, because if you won't do it then there is a huge chance that actually you moved it to the top position, it stayed this way, and on the minimum hop you think you have like 200% of hop that you don't want. Yeah, so make sure that it's really checked and set properly to 0 in the chamber before you slide it to the barrel. So in my case it's okay. Next step could be to increase the hop, see what's the maximum, but anyway with your eyesight you will not see what maximum of hop is good or bad, right? So probably this won't help much. The best would be to assemble the gun and go and shoot. In case you are still missing hop, then apply some more layers on the cam or file a little more the arm, maybe it collides with the barrel extension. So in my case I'm just taking this, I'm putting this back into the gun, because the modification I'm doing I did already on many guns, and I know that for these BBs and this power the amount of plastic I added is okay. Also it depends on the thickness of the plastic you'll use and so on and so on, so you need to basically figure this out for yourself. Very simply we drop this back in and we will need to screw it in, and it can, yeah, if you like, here it would be good to add some weak Loctite to be sure that the barrel does not unscrew itself, and remember that there is this ring here that prevents barrel wobble, so set it somewhere along the length of the barrel so that it's hidden in these ventilation holes, because when the barrel is screwed in place it's more difficult. Yeah, so now when it's loose it's easier, you can set it and then apply some Loctite here, take your wrench and basically screw it back. I will do it off screen. So my barrel is in place, it has no wobble. I take the rail, I put it in, yeah, and I can slide it back to this position. Make sure that this stabilization plastic here is in proper place. It makes a little difference, but probably you don't want it to be just visible, it would look weird. And then we put back our screws in the holes and we screw them. When this is done, we take the charging handle, we put it in, then we take the bolt carrier group, we put all of this in, we take our lower receiver, we assemble it, and everything is okay. So to summarize, we increased the hop range by adding some layers on the cams so that in the same position it pushes more on this hop-up arm made of solid metal, and we also modified this hop-up arm made of solid metal so that it basically has more range because it does not collide so soon with the barrel extension above it. So these two simple modifications will allow you to get more hop for the gun. More hop allows you for heavier BB. Heavier BB flies nicely also on higher power, and this combined will give you additional range. This gun will shoot easily over 110 meters in this configuration. The HPA conversion, 0.48 gram BBs, 0.1 tight bore inner barrel, 420 millimeters long like the original, and the original VFC nub. And that's all. Your gun is ready, so make sure to go out and shoot it, check how it works. If the hop is not enough, then just add more, and if it's too much in the minimal setting, you actually should be able to identify the way I described it. But if you identify it only through shooting, it's also okay. You just need to take off some of the layers you added. And that's it. That's how you build a nice HPA GBBR or regular GBBR DMR. So thank you for your attention, and this is all for this episode of Pimp My Gun. Please subscribe, like, comment, hit the notification bell not to miss upcoming material, because there is a lot of new stuff coming, not only conversions but some gun improvements and so on. Thank you so much, and may the power of GBBR be with you.